AAA gave us match of the year contender El Grande Americano mask versus mask match. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Kicking In with Ross. I want to talk about this mask versus mask match. It was everything wrestling should be. It was incredible. It was a huge big match feel. It was a fantastic crowd. It was two fantastic workers. It was a beautiful storyline that touched on everything from pride to respect to glory to love. It had everything a match needs to have. It had, spots where they were both busted open. It had near falls. It had run-ins. It was just perfect. It was pretty close to a perfect match. And across the board, it seems like every wrestling fan loves it. And it's one of those things that happens where there's so much wrestling content now between Raw and SmackDown and NXT and AEW, and you have shows every night if you want to. I remember when I was a kid, it was Monday and Thursday, and then you had one pay-per-view a month, two during the WCW, WWF days. But now you could watch wrestling every night of the week. You can watch Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays. You can watch every single night, and we kind of get lost in it and forget why we're watching it. And then matches like this come along and reminds everybody what makes wrestling so awesome. So let's talk about the match.
Back again with another video. So I just finished watching the mask versus mask match between OG El Grande Americano and the new El Grande Americano. Yeah. And this was truly fantastic. I've been seeing clips for like months of their interaction in AAA, and a lot of people were saying, this was going to be the match and the show to check out, the Noche de los Grandes.
I watched the entire show. I watched the whole show. It was a late start. I think it started at 9 p.m. my time on Saturday, and I made a point to watch it. I mean, granted, it was free on the YouTube page, but I made a point to sit there and watch it, and it was awesome. Like, across the board, it was awesome. Not just this match. This match was the match, but every match on the card was fun.
I guess you could say pay-per-view event that they had in AAA, and how this was a must-watch match, and just overall just checking out the show. And I enjoyed the show a lot. I was definitely not familiar with all the wrestlers, but the wrestling itself was really entertaining. But I wanted to make this video because when you see some great wrestling, like you saw in that main event tonight, when you see the crowd reaction and how the energy of the crowd was legitimately at a 10 the entire match, that's when you know you have something special. It reminds me of...
How weird do you think it was for both participants in this match? Like, think about Chad Gable and Ludwig. Think about their careers, where they probably hoped they would be, what they wanted to do. Of course, they want to be in WWE, main event WrestleMania, be world champion, all that stuff. Then they kind of get saddled with this interesting gimmick. Then it takes off. And now they are all of a sudden the biggest thing in Mexico in AAA. And they are both, well, Gable was, I guess, at the time. They are both like superstar luchadors. Like, if you're Ludwig, you are really reshaping your entire career thinking, do I just do this? Do I just kind of say, all right, I'm a luchador? And do you just go all in and say, this is where I'm at? I'm just going to be in Mexico, Mexico's version of Hulk Hogan? Like, am I just on this track now? That had to be the weirdest feeling for them in that moment. It has to have been a really weird week for both of them. I mean, if y'all have seen the pomp and the circumstance this match had, they had parades in the street, they had press conferences. El Grande Americano was emotional at times with the support that he was getting. Like, he's got to be looking around like, what the hell just happened? I always thought, this is such a random thing, but I always thought, like, cricket is such a big deal in like the UK and Australia and India, whatever, and it's not really played in America. And I've always thought cricket seems like it would be kind of easy compared to like baseball, because baseball the ball can go anywhere, but in cricket the ball has to bounce, so you kind of know where it's at. You just have to make contact, and then it can go anywhere. Whereas baseball, you got to hit it. You got to hit it fair. So I've always thought, how crazy would it be if you just like went over to anywhere and all of a sudden you were just incredible at cricket, but you really didn't know anything about cricket. You were just really good at it, and then you're like a superstar celebrity cricket player. That's got to be what they feel like. They got to feel like, well, I'm not really doing anything in America, but I'm like one of the biggest draws in Mexico as a luchador with this mask on.
Of the intensity between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, and how that feud had been going on for so long, and it intensified, and it reached its apex at Bad Blood for the Hell in a Cell match they had. That's what that reminded me of. The clips that I've seen of them going at it and really getting intense with the brawls and the fights, other people getting involved, and just the hatred that they have for each other. This was so good. And I didn't even really need to know so much of the story, because they showed the vignette, like the video package,
which was awesome. But the story's also been building for like better part of maybe even over a year. Like this is like borderline Sting and Hogan levels of lead up.
But you could tell what was going on just by the story they were telling in the ring. When both guys came out, I want to say this. This is how you use Chad Gable. This is how you use Ludwig Kaiser.
But at the same time, it's like, what do you mean? As a luchador? Who would have ever seen this? Who would have ever possibly thought this would happen how it did? Who would have ever thought it would be as big as it is? And I'll talk about this throughout the video, but now you have to have a real conversation about the booking. You got to have a real conversation about, because I know WWE owns AAA and, whatever, but Kaiser El Grande Americano is a thing now. He is now El Grande Americano. He's not Ludwig Kaiser. You can't just like drop that gimmick and then make him be Kaiser and hope that he takes off in WWE proper. You have to now just kind of say, all right, look, this is just who you are now. Like, this is just it. This is what you're doing now. Now you are this guy. Now you are this gimmick. That's it. And now you have Gable, who he's 40 years old. He just took the mask off. He lost the mask versus mask match. So that version of OG Grande Americano is done. All right. But what do you do with Gable now? You just push him now? Because now this is the time. This is the time. If you're going to push him, you got to push him now. He's 40 years old. Just came off the best match of his career. One of the best matches of the year. Maybe the best match of the year. So do you immediately push him in WWE as what? As this serious Kurt Angle-esque guy that he should have been 5 years ago? When he should have been Kurt Angle's son? Like, now do you push him, give him an IC title shot? Do you put him into a situation with Penta? I think that's the smartest possible thing is, okay, let's go ahead and bring him back to the main roster, immediately put him into a feud with Penta, and have him win the IC title, and then try and get as much as we can out of Gable for a little bit of time, since he is, older. But you have to change plans now. In AAA, I can't. I'll say it because I can't prove it. I think this has stalled Dominic Mysterio, because I think Dominic was supposed to be the guy who was going to kind of carry AAA, and he was going to kind of dominate that scene, and his name carries a lot of weight, and all of a sudden he would be kind of propelled by this whole thing. But his limelight's completely stolen by El Grande Americano. So now, because of that, Dominic hasn't done nothing. Like right now, the WWE has nothing to do with Dominic, Liv, and CM Punk. Like three of their biggest stars. And they've all just been kind of overshadowed by different things happening. So they have to have a real conversation. If I was like AEW, or if I'm another federation, I'm having conversations of, do we go try and get Chad Gable? Do we try and build off of this? Do we try and go get, El Grande Americano? Do we start factoring in luchadors? Like, do we position them into a different way because AAA is so successful and the fever for wrestling in Mexico is so hot right now?
On the entrances, Chad Gable was getting nuclear heat. I don't think I've ever heard him get booed this much. Like, you would have thought he was Gunther retiring John Cena. That type of level of heat. That was amazing. And then when Ludwig came out there and you heard the pop, how loud it was for him to come out there. Like, I just love that. These are those special moments where it's like, if you're a fan of wrestling, no matter what company, you can appreciate that. Even if you don't know the story so well, you can appreciate the energy that the crowd was giving because they were so invested in this match. This was truly amazing. Truly really amazing. And very brutal. I was not expecting that.
It was violent.
I've never seen like a mask.
Yeah, I mean, this got super violent. I mean, they were ripping their masks. They were, both of them bladed. Both of them, hit the ring, hit the steps and busted up their eye. I mean, Gable was bleeding profusely after the match. Whenever he was when he took the mask off and gave his speech, he was leaking blood.
The mask,
there was a bull rope involved.
So I didn't even know that midway through the match they can just start tearing up each other's masks. I thought it was a thing reserved at the end, but no, the intensity, the brutality, they were going 100 miles an hour while they're doing the introductions. OG Grande Americano.
It was a guitar shot.
Knew a Grande Americano with a guitar, just boom. Before the match even starts, getting nuclear heel heat, and then they went from there. And this was just nice back and forth. He's ripping up a Ludwig Kaiser mask, and he's trying to fight through it, and then at one point Ludwig ended up getting busted open, and he's up like Chatty, he's focusing in on that wound and just keeps opening it up. And I'm like, bro, this was really dope to see. We was watching this in the Discord. Everyone was really enjoying it. And another thing I want to make point of, I've never seen Chad Gable look this damn intense and terrifying, in a sense of it looked like he was trying to murder him, bro. There was no relentless, there was no not sympathy, but relaxation. He wasn't giving.
There's characters that get saddled with this weird kind of funny, jokey gimmick, Eric Bugenhagen, Rick Boogs, Chad Gable, and they shouldn't. These guys, Boogs is not wrestling anymore, but he's a guy with legitimate wrestling background. He's a guy that is huge, right? He is, if you watch Boogs' YouTube stuff, or Eric Bugenhagen, if you watch his YouTube stuff, he's a legitimate strongman. He's doing crazy lifts. So a guy's like that, like Gable, legitimate wrestler, has a legitimate wrestling pedigree, in great shape, super strong, whatever. I know it's easy to pigeonhole them into kind of goofy, funny gimmicks for a cheap laugh here and there, but those are the kind of guys that you need to position as legit, killers, as the Kurt Angles of the world, those kind of guys that will just wrestle you into a different dimension, that are intense, that can do things that other wrestlers can't do. And Gable was allowed to do that because he wasn't saddled with this jokey, funny gimmick. He was a legit tough guy, badass heel, very Kurt Angle-esque, just wearing a mask. And I hope that they go in that direction with him for a year or 2 years or however long this whole thing plays out. Because I think right now he could transition away from the jokey, funny, comedic relief into that legitimate wrestling badass.
Ludwig, any chance to breathe, he was trying to destroy him. Legitimately. It looked so great. Yeah. Throwing office chairs at him, throwing them over the timekeeper's area. He was packing him up. And Chad looked like a very great heel. There was a blind person at front row. He was trying to attack him. At one point, Ludwig's girl, I'm guessing, pulled up and he was trying to get.
That was another huge part of the storyline. Everything was just. I mean, I almost cried after the match with just the Miss Elizabeth Macho Man moment at the end. Even the love story was good.
Close to her, this was he looked like one of the best heels like in wrestling today. In that moment, I'm not used to seeing that. I'm used to seeing him as a heel, but I'm not used to seeing him as this intense heel. He reminds me of Kurt Angle when he was a heel and how intense he was. That's exactly what he reminded me. And then Ludwig also getting his offense in and start tearing up the mask. And I'm not going to lie to you, Chad, it looked like Chad may have gotten busted open the hard way, legit, because he was...
I think he just... Sometimes when you bleed, and some people bleed differently, but I think Gable just got himself a little deep.
Leaking blood
he was leaking
from his ripped up mask.
Yeah.
And Ludwig is attacking that too whenever he was able to get some offense in. Because a lot of this match, OG Grande Americano was putting in the work. He was handling out the devilish beats. This was so good. I didn't even really take notes because I didn't expect to. I was just enjoying the match for what it was. I will say this. If you've been hearing the hype about these guys over months like I have, and you've been seeing the clips and you missed this match, go watch it.
I think this match and this storyline and these two did for AAA what Kenny Omega did for New Japan, where all of a sudden we just started hearing a lot about Kenny Omega and New Japan. And then all of a sudden you want to watch, Wrestle Kingdom. You want to watch all these matches. You want to watch all their pay-per-views. Even though you don't know the storyline, even though you're not, too up to date on what exactly is happening, you're watching just for the matches. That's how this was. And it was very similar to those Wrestle Kingdoms where you watch the whole thing basically oblivious to the storylines, and you come away like, man, that's one hell of a show. Wow. And that's how this was. Now, this is a little bit different because Gable, he had to lose his mask, and so now you got to kind of find different avenues and all that. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if this shot AAA into not the mainstream, but like where a lot more people are watching than previously, similar to what was going on in New Japan for a while.
This was great.
It was.
This may be the best match we see all week.
And similar to that, like if you back then, if you weren't watching Okada and Omega, like what were you even doing? Same here. Like if you have not watched this match, go watch it. It's free. It's on YouTube. Go watch it.
Weekend. We know we got Clash in Italy tomorrow, but they got a lot to do just to top this one match. And the show overall was pretty good. I'm not going to lie to you. The Viking Raiders, I believe, ended up winning the tag team championship. Ray Phoenix ended up winning his match. Very great opener. He ends up winning a title. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, all of it was
the fact that
fun.
The Viking Raiders are down there, or the War Raiders, my bad. The fact that they're down there, I didn't even know that. They won their match. Pretty solid match.
Yeah, they took down the Psycho Clown.
Like, this match alone, and the show was really great, but this match alone is going to rival damn near anything we see on Clash in Italy. And they gave these guys time. It was like almost a 30-minute classic. This was fantastic. And what makes me so irritated, even though this was a great moment, this is something that WWE could have easily did, but they didn't. This is something easily WWE could have given us.
Well, not really. I mean, and they also did give it to us with AAA, but it wouldn't have had the same effect in WWE. It only could have existed in AAA because of the luchador and the Mexico culture and all that stuff that was roped in. And so I don't think this could have existed in WWE. This had to only exist there.
But they chose not to. Yes,
Now, you could argue Gable is better than what he's been saddled with and all that stuff, but it still wouldn't have given you this. Like, I think this had to happen for whatever we're about to see them do with Gable. Now, they could bottle the whole thing and they could screw it up, but...
I sent them to AAA, and I don't even think they expected it to get as big as it did, but it works for them because they have the partnership with AAA. But the fact that we got something so intense, and I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think we've had a feud that felt like this on the main roster since Drew and CM Punk.
It's way better than Drew and CM Punk. This reminded me of the Tony Storm, Mariah May storyline, where it was just this incredible storyline that probably shouldn't have been as good as it was, and then culminated in one of the best women's matches of all time in their bloody, like the bloody climax to their story. This reminded me of that, where it's just like this lightning in a bottle. It just fits. Everything works. And, you know, like Blake Monroe or Mariah May hasn't captured that in WWE, but they haven't given her that storyline and given her that lane to work with. But that was one of the best women's storylines and culminating matches I've seen in a long time, maybe ever. And just like this, I mean, you know, I'm not exactly a luchador expert, but this is one of the best storylines matches I've seen in a long, long time.
I think that's the last time I can think of a feud that really felt that personal and that intense since like Drew and CM Punk. So I mean they or you can do Roman and Roman and CM Punk. I think that's was a really good feud and ended off in a great match. So I'm not going to say that.
I mean, you'd have to go back to Roman and Cody for anything even comparable in the WWE to this.
I'll say Roman and CM Punk as well. That was good. They really put on a good one. And obviously Roman, CM Punk, and Seth, that was really good as well. But it's not too many where it gets that intense. And this was fantastic. Ultimately, Grande, the new Grande Americano, ends up winning. He gets the win here. Yeah. And this was even a cool moment after the match while Chad is bleeding, you know.
I mean, after the match was insane. His whole family was there. Again, think about what they're thinking. Like, we're in Mexico. We're surrounded by fans who hate my dad / husband, who's in a luchador mask, who is losing the mask, and now he's being pseudo cheered and respected. This is like, you know, he's a huge deal in this situation. Like, what's actually happening here? His son was in a full singlet in a luchador mask. I mean, it was like the craziest thing. Gable gives this super impassioned speech.
His family comes into the ring and he, you know, says who he is, his name. He takes off his mask and he says, "I'm the original Grande Americano, but now you are the only Grande Americano." He hands Ludwig his mask, and he said AAA will be seeing him again soon at some point, which leads me to believe maybe they, you know, bring him back, because he showed out. Even the fans was chanting Chad, you know, or Gable and showing him some love, because he's been cooking up down there. And the fact that we can't get this on the main roster is truly, truly insane.
You know, it makes me think, like, maybe NXT, maybe this is kind of what NXT should be, where these different territories and these different, you know, I know WWE has their hands in everything, right? Like AAA, but it's almost like go somewhere else, try and figure it out there, build a character there, whatever, and then you kind of like with Joe Hendry and TNA and Jordan Grace and TNA, and then coming over to WWE and whatever, like versus NXT. And maybe NXT should be kind of reshaped into a different thing instead of just like the minor leagues. Like, I don't know, but if and I'm really thinking like grand here, but in the wrestling ecosystem, this just seems way healthier, and this just seems way better, to where now you're watching AAA, now you're watching TNA, now you're watching Ring of Honor, now you're watching, you know, WWE, and it almost goes back to that territory thing where you got these independent storylines and they all matter and the championships matter, and it's not these super bloated rosters, because that's what happens in WWE, is that someone like Gable or LA Knight, for example, they either are a world champion contender or they just get lost. And for some reason, the mid card is not everything. Everyone's trying to get like skyrocket to the world title picture. And if you can't be in that picture, or if you're out of that picture, there's just nothing to do with you. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, the Intercontinental title scene was healthy and its own thing. It was important. The U.S. title in WCW, and, you know, the X Division title in TNA, like, those mattered. And you could exist in there. You could exist in that world. The TV title. I mean, I remember Disco Inferno, like in WCW, like the TV title was a big deal. The Cruiserweight title was a big deal. Chris Jericho and Dean Malenko, one of the best storylines in WCW history. WWE seems to have, like, if you're not wrestling for the top titles, it's just kind of, we're just kind of mailing it in. Gable should come back to WWE, go after Penta, start a storyline with Penta, and then win the IC title. And the IC title and Gable and Penta and all that stuff, that should be given time and effort and thought. And Gable and Penta could have something. You can't run it back like how you just saw, but you can do that in WWE. You can give time and energy and resources to a IC title feud between Penta and someone like Chad Gable. You can do that. Dominic Mysterio, he should be, just because he's not in the title picture, everything is to the title. Money in the Bank, Royal Rumble, now the King and Queen of the Ring, like Elimination Chamber, everything is world title, world title, world title. And the mid-card just gets lost. But that's where you can get magic like this. That's where you can relieve some of the pressure of being Roman Reigns or Cody Rhodes or whatever. And you can have these matches and these feuds and this fun. I mean, I can think off the top of my head so many Intercontinental and US and and Cruiserweight and TV, and so many of those storylines stick out. I mean, Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon, like there are ladder matches at SummerSlam and WrestleMania for the IC title, and I think we got to get back to some of that. And Matt Cardona, he's a guy where, look what he did on the Indies. Let him do that for the mid-card titles. Let him do that. He doesn't have to be in the WWE picture, in the world title picture, but because he's not in the world title picture, doesn't mean he needs to be a joke. He doesn't have to be comedic relief. Like, let him do something in the middle. Let him do what he did in the Indies. He got over. Let him have the same character, but just go for an IC title or whatever. A lesser title doesn't matter to me. Too many people fall into obscurity and get wasted in WWE because it's all world title or bust. Look at the tag division. The tag division has been a joke for years. And think about how amazing it was 2 decades ago. Because they had actual tag teams. They don't even have tag teams anymore. It's just like 2 single competitors who get matched up for a little bit and then that's it. I mean, tag team wrestling used to be a huge deal with some of the best storylines and matches that we remember.
Hopefully WWE.
But now they split up. The second they get any kind of push, they split up the tag teams and make one of them chase the world title. And then the other one gets fired.
Sees this and utilizes both of these guys on the main roster to their maximum potential, because this was great. It's not too many matches I can think of. It's not too many where the crowd is just involved and invested all the way through, and they are loving everything that's happening, and it just, the atmosphere was just perfect for this. This was truly a great, fantastic match. 10 out of 10. I can't even really go into all the details because there's so many things that happen. Go watch the match if you have an opportunity. I didn't know The Undertaker was cooking up like this. I heard about it, but to see it in that.
So, by the way, Taker is like the creative director / booker / executive producer down in AAA.
Action. Hey, bro. Go check this match out.
Which is kind of funny,
10 out of 10. Probably going to be the best match of the weekend. Probably going to be one of the best matches all year. Match of the year contender right here, man. But, hey, comment down below. Let me know, man.
There you go. Yeah, I think it is the match of the year. And I hope it gets the flowers it deserves. And I can't wait to see what they do with Gable and El Grande Americano after this. And I hope Gable gets that push. It makes so much sense to come back. This all started with Penta. It makes so much sense to come back, go after Penta, win the IC title, start a storyline there. Please do not bring Gable back as just the comedic relief joke that he's been. So we'll see what happens. But go watch it. I'm telling you. This is the match of the year. Go watch it. It's one of the best matches ever. Last time I saw it was like the 27th highest rated match on whatever it's called, Cage Side or whatever that website is. So It's worth the time, man. It really is. Watch the vignette. You don't have to watch like hours of AAA to get the story. Watch the vignette they do before the match. All this is on WWE's YouTube page, so super easy to find. But just such a fun night of wrestling. It really was. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.